Okay, it is 4:30, and we're going to call the Public Safety Committee meeting together. We do have myself, Janine Best here. We have Savino. Do we have Angela Moore on the phone? No, Angela Moore is absent, and we have Miss Judy Stubbs, and we do have our staff. So I need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I cannot push this thing. Madam Chair, I would move to approve the agenda for the December 15th, 2020 Public Safety Committee meeting as presented.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, okay. I have a second from Savino, and please put in the minutes that Miss Angela Moore just walked in at 4:31. I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Okay, so that passes. Now I need a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, did you get my email?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When Ms. Pollock had sent out the minutes last month, I made some corrections, and they're not the minutes that are in the packet, so I only made 4 copies, but you have, I don't need one. So there were some changes that I had from the draft,
Okay, so we're wanting
Let me
to
tell you what-
approve the minutes, approve them as they are amended?
I don't know if they're, yeah, I
Everything
guess
she
I have
does
to.
is right.
I have to because these are published. So, yes, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Public Safety Committee minutes from the Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 Council, or Public Safety Committee meeting with the following changes, and that is the approval of the agenda should read basically what the approval of the minutes says.
So I do believe, though, we have to go off of I did change the minutes after you send
Right.
them to me, and that's what was posted to the website for the public. So I don't believe we consider an amendment because they have been posted correctly.
Okay.
And I could be incorrect on that, but I know that the correct ones were posted to the public.
Well, what I can say is whatever Judy passes to you is right, because that's why I like her on my committee. She's the minutes lady. Mike, you have something?
And I possibly could have attached the wrong ones as I was building the agenda.
Oh.
So that may have been what happened. So if you have the corrected ones, we can amend it with those amendments, and then we'll make sure the correct ones may be posted or are posted. I may have attached the wrong
Okay.
file. So I think if you can just state the amendments, if there's not very many, I don't know how many you have
No,
there.
not a lot at all.
Then that'll be part of the record, and then we'll make sure the corrected ones are.
Okay.
Because these are just the draft minutes until you approve them.
Correct. So let me just say, with the changes of, I'm back on the Tuesday, November 17th minutes, moving to approve with the change in the agenda approval to read, Counselor Stubbs moved to approve the agenda. Counselor Sanchez was the second. A voice vote was unanimous, and the motion passed with Counselor Stubbs participating via GoToMeeting and Counselor Moore being absent. And then the approval of the minutes to say, and I have this in writing, Counselor Stubbs moved to approve minutes from the October 13th, 2020 Public Safety meeting with the following change to the minutes in paragraph 1. Change the spelling on Counselor Judy Stubbs' name from July to Judy. Counselor Sanchez was the second. A voice vote was unanimous, and the motion passed with Counselor Stubbs participating via GoToMeeting and Counselor Moore being absent. So that was minor changes.
Yeah, just as amended, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay. So I'd like a motion to approve the minutes as amended by
I just did.
Judy Stubbs. And you did that?
I just made the
Do I
motion.
have a
Second.
I have Angela as a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same
Thank you.
sign. Okay. Now we'll move on to the regular items. Consider Resolution 20XX condemnations. Mr. Bill, or Mike, I don't care. I'm easy. We're not going to get the 6 minutes like we did last time.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, councilors. What we are asking for today is for committee to let us proceed and go ahead and push this through for full city council approval. We have 2 structures that have been condemned by the building official due to being uninhabitable. Either they're derelict, dilapidated, or deteriorated to the point that they need some attention. So I can tell you that we have been in contact with these owners, and they do intend to do what they need to do to bring this up to compliance. So hopefully these won't go to the demolition list, but we are asking, to move ahead just in the event they're not able to do it in time or what they need to do, okay?
Any questions? So no questions, and I need a motion on this, please.
I'll make the motion to move ahead with the resolution 20XX condemnations. Is that the right one?
Second.
Okay, and Judy second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, so that passes 4-0. To move up to city council on the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am, I should have said that. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Okay, now, number 4, consider amendments to Chapter 16 nuisance. Mr. Matthews.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, in your packet, starting on page 10, or page 9 is the abstract, page 10 starts section 16 of the city ordinance that we've been working through. If we can start on that first page there, and we'll start working through it, and I've made the changes that we talked about 2 meetings ago in October, and as we get farther through there, I have a couple, or maybe one more change, but we can definitely discuss these before we get to section 8, and then we can have a different discussion. But 16-2 on public nuisances, you see that we added the word both. Well, let me back up just a little bit, because we had so many different documents. Some of them were I took out all the highlights. So anything that is in red is stuff that's been read or underlined is added. Of course, the strikeout is things that have been taken out at some point during our discussion. So under 16.2, public nuisances general, number 3, interferes with the exercise and enjoyment of both was added, public and private property rights. And then we struck including the right to use public property. I think we discussed that. We can have more discussion if you have any questions on that.
Do we have any questions on that? Okay, I have head shakes all the way around, so let's move
Okay.
on.
That we didn't have any changes in 16-3. 16-4, we struck weeds and replaced that with overgrown property. I know all of us has done a lot of research trying to find that proper verbiage, how to describe what we were trying to accomplish. The verbiage that I've placed in here is actually comes out of an ordinance in California from a small community there. I like the verbiage. It says, overgrown property is property which constitutes plants, weeds, trees, and grass protruding over public pathways, or property which by constitution of its vegetation may be deemed to be a fire hazard, or one which has become an eyesore or likely to cause the breeding of vermin and other pests due to the lack of maintenance. And then we struck the weeds are defined as.
We're all good
Does
with
anybody
that?
have any questions over that definition of overgrown property?
I'm good.
I just have one thing, Madam Chair, and that is reading of vermins, I don't think it's an apostrophe S,
Yeah.
it's just an S.
You're
Just
correct.
plural.
Thank you.
Man, I got 2 English majors on this. I'm in trouble. Okay, Mike.
Okay, section B there, we struck the overgrown, or growth of weeds and grass therein which, and replaced it with overgrown property as it relates to this section. Further below there, we struck all these where it refers to having grown to a height of over 1 feet. It's difficult because if somebody got real picky and I know this from experience in Las Cruces, received a notice from code enforcement and there was 1 weed in the yard that was over 12 inches tall. We don't want to get there. Our officers aren't going to do that. So if the property is overgrown, unkept, that's what they can deal with. I don't want them out there with a tape measure. Not that they've ever done that, but it would signify that that's what we were doing. I think we have better defined it as the overgrown properties here and taken out, like the obstruction of pedestrian and vehicle traffic, that's addressed by the overgrown onto public right-of-ways. So I'll be glad to answer any questions on that one.
No questions? Ms. Judy? Yes.
I do, thank you. I guess I'm looking at B6, where you scratched the 1 through 6.
Yes, ma'am?
I'm just wondering if 6, unless it's repeated language somewhere, is kind of a good catch-all, or otherwise hazardous or injurious to the public health and safety.
Right, well, I think up in the overgrown property there in the definition, it may be deemed to be a fire hazard or one which would become eyesore or likely to cause breeding of vermin or pests
Okay.
due to lack of the maintenance. As far as injuries to public health and safety, I think there's other sections in the code. So what we're talking about is overgrown property, trees,
Right.
brush, weeds, grass, things like that. That same verbiage will be used further into the section there when you're talking about structures or appliances, icebox, refrigerators that are left out, things like that. So I think it's used in other sections of the code.
Okay, thank you. I'm
There
fine
was-
with it then.
There was no changes to C or D. Section 16.5, offensive matter. There was no changes to that, or B. Then we get to unsanitary or hazardous premises, certain solid waste, in 16.6. We struck an A, obstructs pedestrian traffic. I'm sorry, I'm reading through this real quick to make sure. And then in C, and racks any, that tells you how old this section of the ordinance is. Recall back in the day where everybody had individual trash cans with lids and they had the round racks that your cans set in. So we don't have that anymore, so we're striking that. Counselor Stubbs, you have a question?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm referring to Mr. Patterson because I thought what we presented to this committee from legal was different than that. And so, I'm not sure.
Different where, Judy?
Well, in 16.6, and I'm trying to figure this out. We did change A. Have you got it?
Only on my computer, but
That's fine.
this was what we had done. She had done all of this.
Okay, so that's what I have here.
Those are the changes we made at legal.
And then this,
I don't know if this is different.
And this TV and YouTube world is why we do this
I think it's the
down
same,
here
just not.
instead of spending time at council.
I don't think that it's redlined, but I think the changes are there. Maybe can compare it.
Okay, I'm looking at this. Are you looking at A?
Yeah, so this is what was in the packet, and this is what we did. If you look at them, it's still, I think, the same. It just doesn't have the red lines and strike-throughs. If you compare them. It's otherwise unsanitary and hazardous or injurious.
Could you do a really big favor and read aloud what our red line is so we can compare it to what?
I think it's the same, but
Okay, well, the point being, it's not red lined.
it's not red-lined.
Which it needs to show the difference, and we can do that.
Whereabouts?
Again, section 16.6A.
Mm-hmm.
What I have that we presented, and I'm not sure, let me just read it. It shall be unlawful for any person to permit or cause to remain in or about his premises any solid waste, automobiles not in operation condition, wastewater, or any conglomeration or residue thereof which emits odors. And we took away that comma, I think. Did we take it away,
No, ma'am.
Parker?
Yes.
Yeah. You took the comma and the struck-through or.
Serves, what? We took away the or also.
Yes.
Serves as a feeding or breeding place for flies, insects, or rodents, took away the comma.
No, you added it.
And scratched out, which you have, the obstructs pedestrian traffic. And we scratched out the and, which in the opinion of the code enforcement officers, and we add, or which is otherwise unsanitary, hazardous, or injurious to public health. So,
Madam Chair, and Councilor Stokes, what I can do, I'll get that from Parker and I'll include that
Yeah.
verbiage, because I didn't have that verbiage
Right.
in the one, so I can include that.
so I think there's some others, so I don't know how we want to approach that.
There's others?
I think so.
Well, they're not redlined at this point, and I only have a line through obstructs pedestrian traffic. That's all I have a line through, but it's
That's-
not colored.
That's what I,
That was only part of it that came from legal, but
Do you want to sit up here with me?
He shaked his head.
His microphone's not working, Jeff. You turned it on? Okay. See, you just have to say pretty please or threaten you.
As it originally came, 16-6 had a section C, which said it shall be unlawful for any person to permit in or about his premises any solid waste to become in any way hazardous or injurious to the public health or to obstruct pedestrian traffic. And what we did illegal was we struck that and incorporated it up into section A. So what we did was, it would have said, it shall be unlawful for any person to permit or cause to remain in and about his premises any solid waste, automobiles not in operating condition, wastewater or other conglomeration of residue thereof which emits odors, comma, obstructs pedestrian traffic, comma, or which is otherwise unsanitary, hazardous, or injurious to the public health. So that's how we changed it, and then we struck C out. And so that's how we had done it, and I think probably with so many versions flying around, there was probably, it just didn't get into the packet version.
So is C completely struck out?
Yes, because, and that was the idea, was it was basically redundant to A, except it added or obstruct pedestrian traffic. So we just moved, but C was, it shall be unlawful for any person to permit on or about his premises any solid waste to become in any way hazardous or injurious to public health or to obstruct pedestrian traffic. And we struck that entirely and moved up that language about obstruct pedestrian traffic or otherwise hazardous into A, so that it became one section instead of having A and C.
Okay, so 16-6 only has A and B.
Well, and then there was a C, it shall be unlawful for any person to permit in the area surrounding mechanically transported dumpsters or racks. That became the new C when we struck the
Okay.
old C.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Judy, how are you feeling about that?
That, yes, what Mr. Patterson said is what I
What you
have.
said,
Okay.
see?
What?
There. Mr. Matthews, what do you think?
I'll get copies from Parker and we'll incorporate
Okay.
those.
Okay, so are we moving on to 16-7 now?
Well, Let me
No.
ask about D and E. We didn't scratch those.
They were they were sections that were added at public safety by.
Right.
At the first round. All properties must have a valid solid waste service account, and all that stuff was added the first round, before it came to legal.
So
So
there
those
is a-
should all be there,
There is a D then.
but it's scratched out, and I don't think it should.
New D is all, and these were added at public safety prior to legal. New D would be all properties must have a valid solid waste service account. And then all outside storage materials, et cetera, were the two provisions added back when Bill Morris was working on this.
Right, and I believe that was struck at some point because residential, you have to have that, if you have a water meter, that's all part of that charge within your water bill is active sanitation account. It's all inclusive into one fee.
But could it not be true that some of these properties would not have water?
They should have a meter. It may be a vacant lot, but they should have a meter.
Right.
And it should have the new meter hoopy deal on it. It may
Right.
be turned off.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
So in this version, there's all properties must have solid waste was struck out, but we still have a new D is all outside storage of materials becomes the D, section D, right? As it's stated in the packet.
I'm good with it. Miss Judy, how are you feeling?
Yes.
Miss Angela, you good? Savino, you okay? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So 16-7, please, sir.
And we'll see if we jive here.
Yeah, I think you
any
and Parker
further.
need to get together on 16-6.
Oh, yeah, we'll take care of that one. The 16.7 in my version didn't have any changes.
Okay, so 16,
Did yours, Parker?
What we had done in legal is we deleted the 1 and 2 and basically made 1, I think, part of the sentence. And just, read consisting of abandoning, discarding, or keeping, et cetera.
As that section was originally drafted and as it currently exists, it had 1 and 2, abandoning, discarding, or keeping in any public place accessible to children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then at section 2, that was being the owner, lessee, or manager of any premises, it began. And then we struck that entire section 2 because it was redundant to the section above it.
Exactly.
And then, so that just became one thing and did not have a 1 and a 2.
Right.
and that would be 16-7.
7, right. And we see that in the one that's in the packet. It's just not redlined to show this, that second paragraph was struck out.
And this is the information I received from Mr. Morris when he left, so
You don't have the updated that legal did then.
some of it's included here. I just don't, I think he had updated some of the information, but apparently he didn't get through all of it, so we'll get together on it. As we go through this, it'll point out what sections we need to look at, and I'll get those corrected
Fine.
or updated.
Okay. So 16, 17 is all in black on mine.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that it's okay. Okay. So 16-8 has all been marked out, and there's a new 16-8. I see Parker shaking his head. That's a step forward.
Yeah.
So is there any red lines in the new 16-8? Does not look like it.
That's all new, it looks like.
So half of page 13, 14, and 3/4 of page 15 are all 16-8. No red lines, so we'll move on to 16-9 inspections, which is about a half a page of all red.
Both of those are entirely new, right?
Okay.
They're not in the existing ordinance, but were added by myself.
Okay.
And that's based on New Mexico statute.
Okay.
Yeah, that inspections one is a New Mexico statute situation, but the one before it is one I wrote.
Kind of word for word?
It's adapted from a section that allows inspection by people who are enforcing codes, as opposed to the police. You can get a warrant if you're a code inspector or someone like that to enter a premises if you have probable cause to believe that there's a code violation in there, and that's permitted by state statute.
Miss Judy, what are you thinking?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So now we're on to 16-9. We're moving on to 16-10.
I have renumbered on 16-9 was scratched, and is the new 16-10, is that correct?
16-10.
Yes.
Okay, so all of that is black. It's
No,
also.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I
Pardon me?
can't believe since 2004 I haven't noticed this, but the title of the new section 16-10 is Roswell Smoke Free Air Act of 2004, not fee.
Oh. we
I
need
think
to
it's
add a
supposed to
R.
be, I think it's supposed to be free. I think it's supposed to, but it should be hyphenated, smoke-free. It's no more
Right.
smoke.
No, but I mean, it shouldn't be fee, it should be free.
You're
Yeah,
missing
oh,
an
right,
R.
yeah, it should be free, right.
And I'm saying, like, I was around in.
Judy, are
in
you
04.
falling down on your
I
job?
really slapped with the white.
So we need to put an R, so it says
It needs free.
F-R-E-E. Yes.
And I
That's
think you're
funny.
right, it's a hyphenated word, too.
Okay, so 16, page 16, 17, 18, 20, down on the bottom of 20, we've changed 16-10 to 6, should be 16.
16.
Should be 16-11. Bottom of page 20, noise. Okay, and then on that one, at number 7, excessive use of a generator in a residential area and after daylight hours is the only thing that's been added to 16-11. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, at the very bottom of page 20,
Yes, ma'am?
where it says section 6-11, it should be 16.
Yes, ma'am?
Thank you.
Okay, and then we're going to skip all the way over to page 21. Number 7 also goes under 16-11, and I just read it, excessive use of generator in residential areas after daylight hours. Is that correct, Mr. Patterson?
That's what
Yeah.
I have on mine.
Okay. All is good there? Are you caught up, Miss Angela? She's shaking her head yes. So let's go on. 22 is all black, 23 is all black, 24 is all black, 25, 26, stop me, Mr. Matthews, if you need to stop me. I'm over to 29, it's still.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's black in this copy, but there are some changes that we have already looked at. So again, the final copy is going to have to be redlined in some places.
Okay, what,
Right, we got it.
okay, I'm mixed up. You said there's some red line on here that's not on what we got in our packet,
Yes,
but
but
Mr. Matthews has it.
we've already approved it here at Public Safety.
Okay,
So it's just the final copy needs to have the red line on it.
okay.
So, okay.
So I'm on to page 29 now.
29 is, and I've spoken to Parker about this, on section, if we'll go down to 1635, I'm asking to delete that entire section, and the reason why is because this falls under the Uniform Traffic Code. Code enforcement cannot enforce anything in the street, so it would do no good to have this section in the city code. It's already covered under the Uniform Traffic Code, and we need to renumber that, and then make that 1636 reserved, or 1635 reserved.
Oh, we're going to just reserve it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Parker could elaborate if he has any disagreement with that, but it falls under state statute 66-7-351.
Okay, so are we going to do this with also parking of vehicles?
Yes, ma'am.
So 36 is also going to be reserved too? 35 and 36?
No. 36.
Have I lost you?
Yeah, hold on just one second. We're
Okay.
getting ahead of ourselves.
I got all day. I have no hot date. We're good. So we're going to reserve 1635, reserve that. All of those words will be deleted, yes, ma'am. But we'll just reserve that number in case we need it for something else. And then I was asking about the parking of vehicles, because that would be underneath parking violations too, I assume. But you know what they say when you assume something. Karen, she's
I
just
think-
agreeing with me all night long.
1635 violation nuisance exceptions is about junked vehicles. So we don't want
Inoperable
to,
vehicles. That section needs to stay at 1636. And the reason why is because all our citations, everything is already, has that section of the code. If we change that, we're going to have to print new citations.
Oh.
So the inoperable vehicles needs to maintain at 1636.
Okay.
Section 1635 is the one that would be reserved.
Okay.
the
Do you
one,
understand
but
that, Miss Judy? She's shaking her head yes. Yay. Okay, so, everybody's caught up. How about 1637, or all of page 31 is black? 32 is black. 33,
Oh,
oop,
Parker, on mine on 1641, I have, I don't know what came out of legal.
Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
see
at that meeting.
striking.
There was a bunch that was stricken. Is that out of legal?
no, that was struck in public safety because there was a feeling that it was not necessary, as I recall.
so that would be 41, 42, 43.
Yes, ma'am.
All those were struck,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Are you going to reserve those numbers?
Yes, 41 through 43 that's noted up there as reserved.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
Yes,
Could
ma'am.
I ask a question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Of Mr. Patterson? I've noticed there are probably like 20, at least, different sections that are reserved. I think that was just to save having to renumber the next ones. Is that a good policy, to leave that many?
You know,
Does it
some of-
matter?
I don't know what the decision was, and I'll say that sometimes it's renumbered by the company that posts them. That has happened when we did, for example, the animal control ordinance, the way that we put it together, then we sent it off to be put online, and they created a bunch of reserved sections without even telling us when they posted it, and they said, well, we can do that. So that may be where this stuff came from. So even if we reorder it how we want, there's no guarantee that it won't get rejiggered when it gets sent to the company that puts it online.
But I can tell you for a fact, I know that section 16, 41, 42, and 43 were reserved just to save not having to renumber them. So,
It can be helpful if, I mean, it's good to reserve it if you know, if you want to start a new topic, but you want, you know, there to be, if you're talking about one thing in the ordinance, and then you start a new topic, but you want to be able to go back to that later, it's good to reserve, because then you have the room to add additional sections. But if you don't have a specific reason to do that, if you're saying, if we're done with this matter and we just want to move right on to the next topic, then there's no reason to reserve sections, you know, from a
'Cause you're gonna
strictly.
You're going to have 45 through 60 reserved as soon as you get
yeah,
past
I
44.
know. That's the one that really bothers me, Madam Chair.
Unless there's
but-
something that we want to stick in there later, or some subject that we think is going to be expanded on in that topic, which is, because this whole section here is about, or it's supposed to be about, vehicles that are left around as nuisances, right? That's this Article 3, storage and storage or abandoned, wrecked, dismantled, or inoperable motor vehicles, and that's all of these sections. So then the next one after that is chronic nuisance. So the question would be, do we want to reserve all this because at some point in the future we want to add 20 more sections about abandoned vehicles? If not, then I don't know.
So-
But we would have to, the thing that's complicating it is that we have all these
Well, and
citation
it- and-
forms that are,
And I'm going to ask you, so
Yeah.
we send this off to be put online, okay, that's good, fine and all, and we have taken these off and we've asked the company that's typing them up to take them off. Why do they have the right to put them back on after we voted them already? I mean, that bothers me right there, they're not doing their job. That's probably another day.
as I recall, and I did not go and research this, but their comment was that as part of whatever agreement we have with them, that they are going to post things online, they reserve the right to, because they're codifying it to put it online and to put it into the whole.
But that's going to get us trouble later on. If somebody comes back and reworks this, they're going to say, okay, where's 45 through 60? Did you just throw it out? That's going to get us in trouble,
And I'll
in my mind.
And I'll tell you, it has led to some confusion in the municipal court because the judge reads off of the ordinance that we passed. And I will generally, because it's faster to hop online and check things online, I will refer to sections as they're listed online, and the judges look like, where's that at? So, yeah, it has led to some confusion that they did
So
that.
how can we fix this? And I know it's for another day. I'm sorry, Mr. Matthews, but
That's fine.
I feel it needs to be fixed. Because to me, I can understand 1 or 2 reserved. I get that. But not 20. So can you look at that next time?
Yes.
Bring it back to public safety, please? Would that be okay with you,
Sure.
Ms. Judy? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Can you turn your mic on, please? I'm sorry.
So we have no idea why 1645 to 60 is reserved? No idea whatsoever? Just,
Madam Chair, I do know because there were some deleted and it was just easier to reserve them instead of renumber everything.
I know, but if we're redoing a whole document, why not, wouldn't this be the time to renumber?
That's exactly what
That's
we're
what I'm
doing.
asking. I'm
That's
just
why I'm
saying.
asking Parker to go to these people and ask them why they have a right to change something that city
Unless, like
council
you
has
said, the other
passed.
one was a ticket or a violation that we needed that particular number.
Right.
But we're starting a whole new section next, so why couldn't we just
Yeah.
delete the rest of that and start with the go to the next one? I don't understand why come chronic nuisances couldn't start at 45 or whatever the other one was. I'm just,
And
maybe
that
I'm
bothers me
lost.
that the judge and you are having that miscommunication. That really bothers me because that's a waste of your time, his time, and you guys are expensive. So let's look into that if you don't mind, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Judy? You're
No.
shaking your head. Do we want to go on? Do we want to start at 1661 till he finds out about 45 through 60?
Did we talk about, 45, yeah, okay.
Okay,
No, I'd say let's go on with the
Okay.
language and worry about numbering
okay.
when we're all through.
So we're going to go,
Thank you.
page 33 is all black to me. 34.
Could I ask a question? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Madam Chair, I know this is old language, and I guess this, again, it may be a question for Mr. Patterson, but in 1661, the definitions, it appears, I guess, all of these, no, they were that way before. These section numbers are
Let me-
underlined, but I think they were originally
Let me look at my copy here, hold on.
But my question is, should section be capitalized?
I don't know that there's a specific rule about it, as long as you're consistent throughout. And I have tended to capitalize section because that's been my practice, but I don't know that there's a rule on it.
To me, Madam Chair, it stands out a little better if it's capitalized, because when we're through with this, I don't think those will be underlined, the final copy.
Well, by all means, let's capitalize it. If you please, will, Mr. Parker. Thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
We can hear you, Counselor.
My only question, Sorry, my question was, why is it there spelled out and the rest of our whole document is shortened SEC? Is it a different document somewhere?
I would guess that it's just the different practices of different people over the years, and this person's tinkered with it, that person's tinkered with it, and one person does the abbreviation, the other person capitalizes section, another person just leaves it all lowercase. Just so many different hands on this document over the
Can we
years.
just get consistent in whatever we're going to do? If we're going to capitalize it, let's capitalize. If we're going to spell it out, let's spell it out. If we're going to shorten it, let's shorten it.
We definitely can do that in this committee. I can't speak to the other 4 committees and the documents that come out of those committees, but we can definitely do it
Well,
in this one.
and it looks like it's only going to be underneath 2. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 to 10, section 10 through whatever that needs to be
Right,
changed.
shorten.
Unless it's throughout the whole document, and I haven't seen that.
Right.
So let's go ahead and change those underneath 1661.
So capital SEC,
Yes, SEC, just like.
period. SEC, period.
Is it 2 Cs or 1 C?
No, it says SEC, period.
Okay, 1 C, SEC, period. Underneath 1661. Yes, sir? Thank you. Okay, so let's go on to page 34. Judy, are you good so far? Didn't ask, okay.
Thank you.
34, looks all black to me. Page 35. There, under 1665, SEC would be 1663 under A. That needs to be changed, please. Okay. 1667 is a sunset provision, and it's been marked out. Are we going to reserve that again? Are we going to reserve that one, or are we going to kick it out?
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I think we can take it out since it's the last section in that
Okay.
section. But I have a question about that. Did we have any discussion on whether or not we would take that provision out?
I don't remember.
We
Mike?
did have a conversation on that. Parker would probably remember it better than I did.
Yeah, it was, I mean, y'all will remember when the chronic nuisance ordinance was first put into place, there was some, it was a very novel concept, and so there was some reservation about how it would function and whether it would function. And so this provision was put in there basically to force the council to revisit this question after there had been some opportunity to see it in action. And I think it was felt, at least when we addressed it the previous time, that now we are seeing it in action, because we just did a chronic nuisance resolution a while back. And so with that in process going on now, I think the discussion was that we don't need to have a sunset provision, but obviously that's up to you guys. Again, you can reconsider that if you want to. But that was what I recall about the discussion.
Do you
Thank you.
think we need a sunset? Because we can revisit it anytime it's not working or we want to change it. So I think taking it out's good.
I think that was a conversation a couple
Yeah.
months ago, was that this can be revisited at any time by the council. If they want, something's not working, they can bring it up, we can take it out, we can add to it. Just to have a sunset in there, if somebody forgets it and it goes away and it's been working great all along, then if in 2 months you say this doesn't work, you have every right to bring it back up and remove it at
Okay.
that time.
I'm good with leaving it out.
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's go on. The 35 is done. Let's go over to 36. All seems to be black. 37.
Madam Chair, if we can stop right there, and
Okay.
because we're moving into section 8,
Yes, sir.
the camping and tents on property, and if I recall correctly, we were going to invite a bunch of the groups in for this discussion.
Correct.
So if it pleases the committee, we could stop right there on this one, and next month, with the help of the chair, we can reach out to some of the groups that had some concerns and issues with this, and maybe have them at this meeting to have a better discussion on this section.
I think that's perfect. Is that okay with you, Ms. Judy?
Perfect.
Ms.
And
Angela?
we'll-
Mr. Spino?
Also, Madam Chair, I'll get with Parker, and we'll make sure we have these, the numbering and these changes that went through legal that I didn't have, we'll make sure we'll have that all
So
lined
it'll
up.
come, 16 will come back again next week. We
Ab-
can run through it real quick again and bore everybody so they understand what we do in these committees.
I would rather not run through it real quickly. I would prefer, myself, I'd prefer to take our time and go through it and beat it up in committee. And then I'm even in favor of, because there's no hurry on this.
Correct.
And once we even get it done, let the committee and take a look at it for another month to make sure that we got everything in there that we want. And then I'll be glad to take it to full council.
Perfect.
What I will try to do with Mike is come up with a way to represent it so that we can see what public safety did and what legal did in a way that's fairly intuitive. And then we'll, I think, be able to kind of understand it as we're looking at it based on, however we color it and strike
Okay.
throughs and everything. So I'm going to try and do that when we'll put the line, the line numbers on the side and everything like we keep promising we're going to.
I was really enjoying watching Judy shuffle between the two, so.
Right. That is my intention,
right now
to get a
these-
really good draft that you guys can look at and understand the entire process as you look at it. That's my
Okay.
intention.
Perfect.
So I hope
Thank
to do
you.
that.
Okay, so we are done with this
May-
item?
May I
Yes,
make?
ma'am.
I'm sorry, thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
Madam Chair. I'm just wondering if, from now on, page 39 and 40 could be deleted from our packet? Because to me, it sort of confuses things. This is just for reference.
Absolutely.
It's from the zoning code, and I just think sometimes when we read the whole thing, it gets confusing, so.
I can take those out. I know Mr. Morse had placed those in there so that he could use them to show that it's transitioning between the zoning ordinance and the code.
Right.
And I don't think but I left them in there for this discussion, but next month I'll plan on taking those out.
I would appreciate that
Sure.
if everybody's okay with it. Thank you.
Okay. So we're done with number 4 under regular items. We have no non-action items. We have department updates. Does any counselor have any questions for a department? Okay, seeing none. Now it's the chair announcements. I got you guys cornered. Okay, Ms. Angela?
How are hiring, how are we looking police-wise during this?
Hiring for the police.
Chief Smith. That's okay. It was for Chief Smith. He's over there taking a nap.
I just want to know how hiring is going, how we sit staff-wise.
And do we have any laterals? I'll
In the
throw that
midst,
in
yeah,
there.
there you go, in the midst
Because
of all.
that to me, I think laterals would be good considering that no other town wants them. Sorry, we would love to have them.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and the rest of the Public Safety Committee. Hiring is, they're working as hard as they can. We're closing on 20 vacancies. We have 9 in the process. We have 2 laterals in the process, one we just hired. One, we're walking to the building tomorrow that came from another agency with 14 years' experience. There is no rhyme or reason as to why some are leaving because they're retiring. We've actually had a good body of personnel retiring right now, so that's normal. And we've had some move closer to areas away to be closer to family. So, I mean, as it always goes with Roswell, whatever the prevailing wind happens, it will happen to us. So, but the recruiting team I have is working hard. We have, like I said, I think we've got 8 scheduled to go to the academy. And that's up in the air as well because of the COVID, whether they will actually go through with the academy in January. And if they do go through with it, it's also up in the air on what the schedule will be. The last time we sent recruits through, they went 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for 5 weeks. And I won't get into that. I mean, I don't think that was the best route to go, but that's what they did, and they were the only horse in town. On that note, I will tell you that we are exploring trying to set up a police academy here in Roswell. Use the campus that we have available to us, and we're going to try and pull all our resources And we've tried this before, and we've always run into hitches with the range and with the driving, being able to do the driving course. And we're trying to utilize all the resources close by to overcome that, because this COVID really put it in our face that we can't rely on everyone else. We have to try and take care of things on our own.
Mike?
Madam Chair, if the committee pleases, since the chief brought up his staffing at the police department, maybe it'd be good for our new fire chief to give us, give the committee a staffing report from the fire department.
That was the next question.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you,
The
Madam Chair.
new man
Committee.
on the block.
What's that?
The new man on the block.
New kid on the block, that is correct. I have notes here because I'm terrible with dates. We are very excited, actually. We just had an application process. We were able to get 9 potential candidates to start our Recruit Academy with. We're working very hard to fill a total of 13 openings right now. So we actually have applications open again. It just went out this afternoon. The city's new video team put us together a recruitment video, so we're really excited that that's out there. Like I said, we have applications open right now. Our academy is planned to start the 4th of January. So basically, that's going to overlap on our applicants. And so what we've kind of worked into the process to make that work, like I said, we need 13. We have 9 that are scheduled to start the academy the 4th. So basically what they're going to do, and thankfully we do run our own in-house academy here in Roswell for the fire department. And since we're one of the few left that still do it that way, we've reached out a lot further, reaching out to cities a lot further away, trying to draw recruits in, because we are able to train our own guys once we can get them hired on. But we're actually going to overlap those a little bit. So those first 9 are going to start, and they're going to start with their EMT basic class to become emergency medical technicians. And that's a few week-long class, and then they will begin the actual Fire Recruit Academy, where they learn all the firefighting stuff. What we're hoping for is that we'll get enough applicants to fill our 13 openings, so that about the time our first 9 are wrapping up their EMT class and starting the Recruit Academy, then these guys will join in on the Fire Academy, and then we'll catch their EMT basic course up at the end. So that way, we can keep that moving and hopefully get all those positions filled. As far as laterals, fortunately, we got really lucky. We hit the lottery with 1. We were able to recruit a driver from El Paso Fire Department, and that's turning out to be a really great deal. We had bad luck with 2 others that we had, but that's the way it goes. We're still out there looking for laterals too. So we've got our hopes up. It's looking really good, and we're hoping we're going to get those filled up.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Shout out to guys from El Paso.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Miss Karen, I have a question for you. It's a real simple one. Congratulations for the rest of the month, by the way.
Thank you.
So here's my question. I drive by Walmart and Sam's and Albertsons and all these big box stores, and I see these poor people standing out there. Has our young lady or older lady or whatever you might want to say, MLG, has she provided any of these towns with ability to give these people shelter while they're staying outside in her law, her mandate? It's not a law, mandate?
I don't know that she's provided that. I know some of the stores like Farmers Country Market North has provided tents outside to keep people out of the elements. So some stores are doing it, but I don't know that the governor has provided that
She
for
didn't
each
hand
community.
she didn't say that any of the CARES money could be used for this and then the tents or whatever be put back into the city for later use? Just thinking outside the
Right.
box here.
I don't know that. I'm not that familiar with the CARES money, but not to my knowledge.
Okay. Okay. That was just my question. I don't know. I just think if she's going to mandate that she needs to back up the whole deal. So, any questions? No? I'm done, I guess.
The next meeting will be January the 19th.
19th, okay. I'd also like to ask the staff members that are here, how did you feel about Saturday's I don't want to say circus, but Saturday's informational session. Was everybody okay with it? Did you want to interact more with the counselors? Do you want to do a one-on-one with counselors? Joe's totally ignoring me in the back, but I'm trying to get this for him so he can. Yes, sir.
I can answer some of that,
Okay.
Madam Chair and members of the committee. I think our staff is, would be very open to having conversations with any counselor. We would love the opportunity to educate each of our counselors in all of our departments. For example, code enforcement. I know at any time Mr. Bartlett would be more than happy to take you in because you really need to understand, or I think is very beneficial for you to understand when we're discussing such things as codes and ordinances, that you understand what they're trying to enforce and do out there. I'm not saying you have to go spend a week or just maybe a couple hours. I think it would be very beneficial to you. I know I've had some counselors over the years that I've taken to animal control and spent some time over there, and I think they walk out with a whole different understanding of what this department provides and functions. It's very easy to get people to go to the zoo or the recreation center or those type deals, but I would encourage you, if you've never been to the wastewater treatment plant, you'll be pleasantly surprised at that operation out there. It is a phenomenal facility that we have, and the way they operate that and how clean it is, and I just think you'll walk away with. So if at any time you can make an hour for some of our departments, they would more than happy to sit down with you and explain what they do. Like Ms. Sanders' job, so you wouldn't have to go to a facility, but just to sit down and she could explain to you all-encompassing of what her responsibilities are as emergency manager, not only for Roswell but Chaves County. I think you'd walk away with a lot of information. So I offer that up to you, that at any time, if any of the counselors would like to sit down with any of our departments, the staff would be more than happy to do that for you.
Can I go on a fire ride along
Absolutely.
with the lights?
Absolutely. We
you
can
go.
sit, we've done that in the past with counselors. Over the years, when I was at the fire department, on occasion, we'd have a counselor come ride along on a Friday night or Saturday night. Same thing with the police department. We'll make anything, because the more that we can get you, educate is not the right word, but more, have a better understanding of the operations of these departments, it's easier for you to make good decisions or decisions in your roles as city councilor. So we're available to you at any time throughout the year. So please just let us know if you have that interest or you would like to do that. We would love to do it for you.
Okay. Sounds wonderful. Ms. Judy, anything? Okay. And it's January 19th. It does say December down there.
It
but
does say
January
December.
19th is our
And I
next
look
meeting.
at these like 15 times, and
I
I
know.
still miss something every month. But
And it wasn't 6 minutes this time. I'm sorry,
It wasn't
guys.
6 minutes, but in closing, Madam Chair, members of the committee, I want to just say Merry Christmas to each of you. I appreciate everything you've done for us this year. We're excited about next year. We're looking forward to some good things next year. So thank you for your
Amen.
service, and we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Be blessed. We'll get through this.
5:29.